Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's great to have you here. As most of you know, I have been an avid trout fisherman for nearly 20 years. But for most of that time, I've been what you'd call a survival fisherman, meaning I eat what I reel in. Now, about a year ago, I decided I was going to go out and actively try to pursue catching larger fish. And that's when I reached out to Kevin Funky. We did a video about a year ago on this, and Kevin confirmed what I had already suspected. Jig fishing is what you do to really target the exceptionally large trout.
With Kevin's guidance, I entered a big fish contest against my friends, and guess what? It worked. I managed to land the biggest trout I'd ever caught, a magnificent 3.5-pound brown trout, securing my victory and taking home the coveted trophy.
My whole life I've been waiting for this moment. I'm going to Disneyland, dickhead.
Kevin's expertise confirmed what I suspected all along. Jig fishing seemed to be the key to reeling in those trophy-sized trout. Inspired by my success, I expanded my fishing horizons from the small streams of southern Missouri to the vast waters surrounding the White River in northern Arkansas. In my conversations with fellow fishermen around the White River, one thing kept popping up. D2 jigs, D2 jigs, D2 jigs.
Is that D2 Jig? Is that what you're using?
Yeah. Initially being a bit of a contrarian, I tried to prove him wrong by sticking to my own methods and coming up with something original. I developed a new technique using blade baits, which proved to be highly effective. I was catching some of the biggest rainbow trout in my life, and even landed the occasional brown trout. However, I still felt the urge to catch the elusive giant I'd always dreamed of. Instead of fighting against the widely accepted belief that D2 Jig's the ultimate tool for catching big brown trout, I decided to embrace it. So I reached out to J.D. Dudley, the owner and creator of the renowned D2 Jig company. My goal was to understand what makes these jigs so special and to perhaps gather some pointers for an upcoming survival trip down the White River with my boys. Now, to my surprise, J.D. went above and beyond. He explained that it's not just the quality of the jigs that matter, but also how you use it. And here's the exciting part. J.D. has unconventional methods that can't be found in any fishing guidebooks. He even offered to meet me and my boys at the boat ramp to give us a first-hand lesson on using the D2 Jig. I was thrilled by his generosity. Following that call, I decided to dig deeper into JD's background, and boy was I impressed. Not only has he emerged victorious in numerous trout and bass fishing competitions over the years, but he has also landed some truly remarkable fish, including a jaw-dropping 30-plus pound brown trout. What caught my attention the most, though, were the pictures on his Facebook. It was evident that he consistently hooks these big fish every time he goes out.
So if you guys want to learn some tricks about catching absolutely huge trout, just watch.
Since the first time I came down here to Arkansas, everybody who gives me advice on fishing down here tells me about D2 jigs. And I found JD. He actually offered to come out and give us a little lesson on the proper way to use the jigs so we get the most out of them.
Right.
Tell us just a little bit about D2 jigs. What makes your jigs special compared to other jigs like this?
Yeah. So there are three or four different companies in Arkansas with marabou jigs. The biggest difference with mine is that it's got an offset head, and it causes the jig to spiral when it's falling in the water column. There have been companies that have tried to duplicate it, and they've gotten close, but it doesn't quite match the action of what we're doing. What's interesting is the head came from a defective walleye mold, and we started tying with it. And actually, there's a lady in eastern Arkansas that was tying with it, and everybody wanted this mold, but she gave it to my dad. And anyway, we started tying, and for over 40 years. We've been using these jigs, and they're still just as good today as they were when we started fishing 40 years ago.
So the defect is they give it kind of a dying fish or a flawed fish.
It does.
And with separate from the herd.
It is, and with the different colors that we use, sometimes I don't have a clue what it's imitating. Yeah. I just know that it still catches fish.
You know that it works.
They do. When it's falling, it's a wounded creature presentation that's falling down in the water. Now, big deal with it is line size.
Okay.
If you don't have the right line size, then the jig is not going to do what it's supposed to do.
Okay. What do you recommend?
I recommend 2-pound line, which is crazy because we've caught some really big fish on this 2-pound line. Okay. Biggest that I've actually landed on 2-pound line was a 32-inch brown, which was a lot of fun. It took us a little while, but anyway, we let it go. Yeah, I'd hope so. I can't guarantee it, but we're sure gonna try it.
Yeah. Fishing or anything. Yeah. So primarily you catching on the drop?
Yeah, 99% of the time the fish are hitting that jig on the fall.
Talking to you is so much because that's something I didn't recognize with this jig. I was saying doing a flutter retreat,
which works, and there is a time for that.
Yeah.
In this water right here, with what we're about to fish, I'm going to let the fish tell us how they want it today, but I can almost guarantee it's going to be a cast it out and let it sink, and then pop it up and let it sink. And as it's sinking, those fish are going to come down. And seriously, you can tell with almost every fish that we catch, they're gonna have the hook in the top of their mouth because they're coming down on this jig.
Okay. Got 3 pound on. You think we'll be all right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, what color is your line?
Monofilament and fluorocarbon.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just clear, translucent.
Yeah, you'll be
colors.
good with it. Yep. Let's go fishing.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready.
Sounds good. And this being a trophy area, we have to fish barbless.
Yeah.
Cast that you make up here, you can hook into a giant. Okay. There may be one sitting right there. There could be one sitting here, whatever. And when I'm saying giant, like I hooked one right up here last week that I would guess was over 20 pounds.
Man.
I mean, massive fish. I didn't get it in, he bit my line in two. But they're everywhere in here, okay? Now they're also pretty smart. These jigs imitate something that they like, okay? This one that you're throwing is the Arkansas minnow. It imitates the minnows that are in this river. Yours, AJ, is called Little Andy. What it imitates in this water, I don't have a clue, but I know that it catches a lot of fish. I think it has something to do with the orange head on it and that ginger on the belly, but we caught a ton of fish on it as well, and I actually named that one after my son, Andrew. So anyway, when we fish these, your action, basically every time that you pop it, you're giving the jig the action where it's shooting up really quick and then it's falling down slow. And when it falls, it's gonna fall on a spiral. So you pop it, let it fall, pop it, let it fall. And probably the biggest issue that people have with this right here is not letting the line or not letting the jig fall on a slack line. Okay, so if you can see my jig, can y'all both see my jig right here?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna let it fall right here, and when I pop it, I'm just giving it that right there. Okay, you see how it's falling like that?
Yeah.
AJ, can you see that very well? Letting it fall, popping it up. You see how quick that's coming up? That's the action that we're giving that jig right there, okay? So what it translates to when you cast it out is I'm gonna cast it out. As soon as the jig hits the water, I'm gonna click my bail and I'm gonna have a tight line. But I'm also gonna follow the jig with the tip of my rod, okay? So you can gauge, see how fast this jig falls right here, okay? That's falling freely right there, okay? So if you can imagine that in your mind, that's how fast that's falling, then that's how fast you want your rod tip to fall as well. Okay, so it looks like this right here. Now there are times that, depending on currents or whatever, that I may let it fall a little bit faster or I may let it go a little bit slower, but it looks like this right here. I'm gonna cast it out, click the bail, I'm gonna hold my rod up like this, and I'm following that jig down with my rod, pop, follow it down with my rod, pop, follow it down with my rod, pop. Oh God, there's a good fish right there. He's not near my jig right now. But this is the action that we're using right here, okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to get y'all to where you can see my line. So I may need to cast over here. Anytime your line is like this, see how it's tight and it's going straight to that jig?
Yeah.
That jig's not falling.
Okay.
Okay? So you want a little bow in that line. And you're chasing that bow down.
Okay.
That's letting that jig fall freely. Okay? So let me scoot us up just a little bit. We may drift out of here. Okay, you both should be good. All right. So y'all think you can duplicate what I just did?
I don't know.
Try it out. Let's see where you went. Okay, you're right there. Go ahead and click your bail over and start reeling. Is it wrapped around your tip?
No.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah. Some nibbling away.
Yeah, that's. I bet you're on the bottom. We're kind of shallow right here. AJ, that's really good. That action right there is really good. Now be careful as it gets closer to the boat because you may pop it right into your face.
Okay. I can see how that would hurt. What length rod do you prefer?
Man, I'm throwing a 7-foot TFO. It's a light action rod. And the reason I like it is it's got a little bit of backbone on it. but it's
I
not.
was gonna say, I think
It's not too much though.
Yeah.
And I can get a lot of distance on the cast too.
That might be a little part of it. These are IM7. That's IM7 graphite, super flexible. And it might be too soft.
They'll still work. They will. They'll still work. So with this clear water, can y'all tell how deep the water is right here?
Yeah, it looks pretty shallow.
Yeah, it is. We're probably 4 to 5 feet right here. Okay. So a big thing with jig fishing is that when you're working your jig, you want it to work in the lower third of the water column. If you broke the water, if you broke it, let's say it was 9 feet deep, you've got 1 through 3 is the lower, 4 through 6 is the middle, and 7 through 9 is the top. You always want it in 1 through 3, but you want that action. That action where that jig pops and falls needs to be in that lower to middle third, because the fish are sitting on the bottom. They're going to see it going crazy. They're going to swim up on top of it, and as it's falling, they're going to come back down. But if you're working it in that upper third, those fish, they will very, very rarely move up on it. Okay, so you want your jig to be down and close to the bottom. I've always told people, if you're fishing these jigs right, you're going to get hung up. You're going to break them off. You can't help it, because there's going to be rocks that are going to sneak up on you, whatever. And it helps my business too, because people will reorder. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all go ahead, do it again. If you'll pretend that you're setting the hook every time, that's the jig action that you want. Yeah, that's really good, AJ. Your action is really good, okay? But your jig right now it's popping, and then because you're reeling, it's popping, and then it's staying up here, and then right before you pop, it is falling just a little bit, and then it's popping. So it's staying in that middle to upper third. When you cast out here, do you want to cast upstream or downstream to get that jig down in the water column?
Probably upstream, right?
Atta boy! That's it, upstream. Because as you're coming this way, there's less resistance. You've got to work it a little bit faster, but it's going to swing just like this, and you're going to keep that jig in the strike zone a lot longer than if you won't even have it in the strike zone down this way, except for another little technique, but we're not going to worry about that. So good.
All right, a little to the right.
Okay. Yeah, man, that's the action right there. That's good. All right, do it again. Go ahead and bring it up and do it again. Okay. Let it sink a little bit. Pop, stop reeling, let it fall, pop. Okay, go ahead and reel. Pop, stop reeling, let it fall, pop. Stop reeling, let it fall, pop. Yeah, there you go, that's it right there. When you stop reeling right there, I noticed that your rod was following that jig down. That's exactly what you've got to do. Because if you're reeling while you're going down with that jig, if you're reeling, that jig is staying stationary, it's not getting down. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're letting it fall naturally right there, and then you're popping it right in front of their face. Okay, do it again. Alex is your name.
Yep.
I'm gonna get you in there here in just a second. Okay, that one you're gonna have to work pretty quick because it's coming straight at you. There you go, keep working it. Yeah, there you go. Man, you've got great action on it. Yeah, there you go. Now I'm telling you right now, you're coming through fish. Oh my gosh, you're coming through them. Oh, you're working it just dead on too. Okay.
I mean, I grew up an IU fan, so some would say Purdue, you know.
I know Indiana and Purdue's a big rivalry, right?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Now, where do you go to school?
Purdue.
Oh, you go to Purdue?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay, go ahead and, oh, wow.
Man, yeah,
nice catch. I got you. Okay, so let me show you a little trick. Okay. The way you're holding your rod right now, when you're working your jig, you are, look at my hand, you're holding your rod down here with one finger, okay? And so when you're whipping it, you're not giving it quite enough whip.
Okay.
And also, and I don't know if this is like if this is the way you fish. Oh my gosh, did you see that one? Neither one of y'all saw that?
No.
Oh my gosh. If you were standing right there, you definitely would have seen that one. Anyway, I'll split it. I'll put these 2 fingers and I'll split it right here. It may be a little bit uncomfortable for you, but you're gonna have more of a whip action to that if you'll do that right there.
Okay.
And there are times that I'll do a 3, and there are times that I'll hold it up here.
Okay.
When I'm here, I'm losing the balance of the rod. Okay. And I felt that when I was reeling your rod up. You really do need to give it just a little bit more whip.
Okay.
Okay? AJ, when you're working yours, your rod is making the noise that I try to teach people how to do and they can't do it, but you're doing it naturally, okay? So listen to my rod right here. You hear that? It's that whip, just like that right there. Your rod's doing that naturally. That's what we want to get your rod to, is that sound right there, okay? Because it's just that quick, okay? And if that split finger thing doesn't work for you, then go back to what's comfortable for you.
His language would be move the fulcrum forward for more leverage.
Move the fulcrum forward for more leverage. Good. Yeah, there you go. Hey, atta boy. Sorry, this is coaching me. I can get a little excited.
We like chest bumps and high fives.
Absolutely. Okay, so action was much better. The issue was you were up in the top of the water column. You get it down in the lower water column and use that action, that'll work right there. Up here right now, these fish, they're not eating.
Yeah.
We may catch a couple. We may catch a couple of stupid fish, but the big fish aren't eating right now. The big fish are gonna start eating when the shadows start climbing this dam. It's really weird, really weird. They've come off a lot of pressure from guides and they're bumping that water, moving it kind of up and down. And you heard those guys saying earlier that they didn't do very well today. It's because the water's fluctuating. They should have stabilized the water by now. It should be pretty stable right now. So it's gonna take them a little bit to get acclimated.
So at this point, the fishing was pretty slow, but the boys were able to get some valuable practice as we drifted downstream, waiting for the prime fishing hours to kick in. Now, one thing I think is worth noting about the upcoming sequence, Alex has really never fished much, never fished for trout before. AJ's fished quite a bit with me growing up, but this is a new method to him. Now, throughout the course of the evening, JD picks up his fishing pole probably no more than 15 times in casts, and just watch the number of fish he pulls out. And guess what? Stay tuned, because he pulls out a really nice one.
That I'm working it in this current right here it's faster than what we've been doing, and it's just because we're sitting still. So I'll throw it up there. I'll get my slack out of it immediately, and then I'll start working. I'm reeling it too. It's about that clip right there. Not very big. No rainbow. It's chunky. There he is.
Hey.
There you go.
Drought's over.
Drought's over.
Give it a 10.
What do I got? I can't tell what he is. He may not be very big.
If he breaks the line, he'll be huge.
Oh, of course.
Biggest fish ever.
Well, he's wanting to stay up in front of the boat. It's a big rainbow. Came off.
Oh man.
He was 20 inches and fat.
Yeah.
There's the jig came out.
There we go. That's easy.
There you go.
That would be your first trout, right?
That's your first trout.
Sure.
So get your hands wet real quick.
Yeah.
You ever held a trout before? Very slippery.
Okay.
Very, very slippery. I'll hand them to you.
Thank you. Oh god, yeah.
Smile. Click, click. Got it.
Got it?
Got it.
Awesome. Throw it back in.
That's good.
Buddy?
Thank you.
All right.
Good job,
Thank you.
man. Good job.
Hey, timing. Sun's starting to go down.
Yeah, you're dead on.
Hey guys, the mics went dead on me in these last two fish caught here. I really hate that happened because we got Alex catching a really nice rainbow here, and then up next, JD catches an absolute hog. So stay tuned. I'm going to just throw some music over this. These two fish are definitely worth hanging out for.
Let's go fishing with Aaron. You know he'll go anytime. Cutting, working, playing hooky. All you need is a hook and a line. Ooh, fishing with Aaron. You know that's all that we need. You might just fall in the water, but you can't say that you ain't clean. Fishing with Aaron, you know you'll be out all day long. Maybe take a wrong turn and then get lost in the fog. Fishing with Aaron, you just might like and subscribe. Fishing with Aaron. Tune in anytime.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you want to help support the channel, go to d2jigs.com and order yourself some jigs. Of course, the other motivation to do that would be if you want to catch some really big trout. These lures really are an absolute key part of my trout fishing arsenal. From here on out, I'm going to be shooting a lot of video using them. Next video coming up will be Alex, AJ, and I going to an island in the middle of the White River and trying to survive for 5 days with no food or water. Complete survival style. See if we can make it. It's definitely going to be a big challenge. That video will be coming out in about a week. And guys, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video as much as I enjoyed making it. Have a great day.